Hi, today I'm here to speak to you about the concept of making positive conversations with your challenging customers. Now, all of us are interacting with various customers on a day to day basis. So, before I start off my session, the first few things that I want to talk to you about, and let us agree on these fundamentals, is that there is nothing called a bad customer. Henceforth, there could be something called a challenging customer, but not a bad customer. One of the things that we need to understand is that a customer becomes a good customer only once a relationship is built with that particular person. And relationships are not built overnight. Relationships take time and they require persistence. I'm a member of BNI, and in BNI, they use this particular concept called visibility plus credibility is equal to profitability. I am further elongating this specifically for the use of Talent Corner. I'm saying visibility plus credibility plus persistence. I repeat, visibility plus credibility plus persistence is equal to relationship is then equal to profitability. In my opinion, if anybody is looking at a relationship with the client in a transaction basis, they are 101% going to fail. One must look at building strong and sustainable relationships with every client. Now, a lot of times, the reason that a customer becomes a challenging customer is because you and the customer have not been able to discuss about the expectations that you both have from each other. You don't know what is the customer expecting from you, and you have not communicated what you are expecting from the customer before you've started off the work. And therefore, since the management of the expectations has gone all wrong, the customer, which is perhaps a good customer, has become a challenging customer. And a lot of times we call them the bad customer. But I'm going to stop using this concept of bad customer. We will continue to call them challenging customers. Now, I've listed out a few points and I'd like to share them with you. We have customers who often get very angry and upset at us. And we take it in the literal sense. Sometimes a customer calls and they are bombarding away and removing their entire frustration on us. And we take it personally. We believe that how can a customer talk to me in this particular way? But have we thought that there are so many personal things or professional things that are happening with every human being that sometimes, you know, some other reason of the frustration comes out on you. They are as human as you and me are, and there is a possibility that they are just removing some other frustration on us. At this point of time, if we are going to be reacting in a way which is negative or which is defensive in nature, the relationship will go for a complete toss. I think the most important thing right now is to recognize the fact that your relationship with the customer has reached to a challenging stage and that you need to use positive words or positive phrases in your conversation to bring back your relationship to a neutral phase. I'm going to give you some examples. Let us say you have been unable to send resumes to a customer, and the customer had mentioned that it's okay, you can send it to me day after tomorrow, but she has forgotten the same, and the next day she is bombarding away saying that you've not sent any resumes. Now, if you go into the defensive saying that you had mentioned day after tomorrow and etc., uh, it's not going to be taken down well. It's they don't want to hear the fact that they are at fault. At that point of time, you need to use certain positive words. Now, what are these positive words? So, use things like, I have a suggestion. Okay. Again, what you need to do is tell your customer that they are not wrong, but give them a possible option or a solution to what they think is a problem, right? They are getting frustrated on you because they believe that there is a problem, right? So you're going to use language which is more positive in nature and which is where you're giving them a solution. So I'm listing down four possible options. I have a suggestion, and then continue what you have to say. I needed your help, or I need your help. Remember, if you are stuck up, the customer has never told you not to call them for help. But sometimes we don't ask for help. This is a time when you reach out to them and say, I need your help. Could you assist me with so and so? Could I recommend? That's another way of putting up what you would like to suggest. Or you can say that I will be trying even harder. What you need to communicate to the particular customer is that you are here to provide a solution to them, or you are someone who's not given up on their assignment, who's not given up on their expectations, who's willing to make an effort, or who's continuing to do an effort to find the solution to them. The minute they hear facts that you are not doing enough, your relationship will move to a stage where bringing it back to neutral will be extremely, extremely difficult. Now, in case you have done a few things, right? So, for example, you have gone through the job portals, you have seen through all the databases, you have gone through LinkedIn, and then you are not able to find a solution to finding the resumes, for example, then the right thing to do for the customer is tell the person that, you know what, I would like to tell you what all I have already done, right? So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say, a few years ago, there was a particular customer who wanted a profile into, research and development for their factory. Now they had 5 6 different criterias. uh, Obviously at that point of time it was a profile that we had never worked upon, so we said, okay, let's take it up and let's look for the profiles. We reached across to everybody on Naukri, on Shine, on Monster. At that point of time, Times Job was also there, and LinkedIn and everything else we cleared. But what we realized that it was just not possible to get everything that the customer was looking for in that one particular profile. When we communicate to the customer, we said, so we have done all this and we have reached a particular roadblock where we do not know what else to do. Can you suggest a better way of looking at this? Immediately, the customer realized that we had done our level of effort and we were still not able to find the right candidate. The customer then came back with a solution saying, okay, out of the 7 skill sets that I've given you, I am okay if one or two of these skill sets are not matching. We could then find the right candidate and place the candidate. But what the customer wanted to hear was that we had done everything that was required. So we offered an explanation about that everything was done to close the position. And we actually told them that we were asking for a suggestion from their front. And suddenly the customer, which was upset with us, became reasonably happy, and they are still our customer even today. Now, a lot of times, you are having a conversation with a customer, and the the pace of the conversation is going in a different trajectory. You are perhaps going too fast, or you're going too slow. You're saying something and the customer is understanding something else. You're not able to understand the urgency of the customer, or perhaps the customer is feeling that you're not able to understand the urgency of the position, right? And very often, but not, I'll tell you guys, the customer is looking for the position to be closed very urgently, and we don't understand the urgency of the requirement. Or perhaps we think that the customer is looking to close the person urgently, and actually the customer has a lot of time. So first thing first, understand the urgency of the client, right? Ask the a customer, how much time do I have to give you the first bunch of profiles? I repeat, ask this question, how much time do I have to give you the first bunch of relevant profiles? Now, let us say the customer says, I need it by day and day, and you know that it is going to be impossible for you to match that expectation of the customer. Don't just nod your head, because when you nod your head, you're setting wrong expectations for your customer, and then your relationship is going to go a downward hill. Tell the customer, would it be okay if I take a day more, and by day end tomorrow, I will give you three relevant, fully matching profiles. I'm sure the customer will appreciate the fact and will be very happy that you're giving them a definitive answer in terms of what to expect from you. Remember, customers want this particular fact. They don't want you to give them answers which are very vague. They want you give relevant answers, and they want to know what to expect from you. If you feel that the customer has a requirement which is very urgent and they're under a pressing need, make sure you communicate to the customer that you understand that there is a sense of urgency, right? Sometimes still the customer is sure about you understanding, that you are understanding what they're looking out for and how urgent the requirement is. Okay, they're somewhere doubting your ability to comprehend. So use words like, I don't want you to worry, I will take care of it. I don't want you to worry, I'm on top of this. I don't want you to worry, I will live up to my promise of giving you three resumes tomorrow. Use the words, I don't want you to worry. Okay, it makes sure that the customer knows that this is an important aspect for her and for you, and you have understood that very, very well. I repeat, use the phrase, I don't want you to worry. Or you can say, I will resolve this by so and so time. If there's a problem, for example, and customers got back to you with a problem and it's really urgent, say, I will resolve this by so and so time. So the customer knows that you understood the urgency of the problem and is willing to resolve it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are some times where the customer is saying something else and you are wanting to say something else. There's a point of disagreement between the two of you, or you're going too fast and they're going too slow. So you want to kind of pace yourself along with the customer. You want the customer to know that you're understanding what they're saying. So I'm going to give you a certain phrases which you can use to communicate that. So you can use this phrase called, I see your point, or I can see your point, which means that because you're communicating to the customer that you can see that point of opinion. If it's a challenge, okay, you can use things like, I can understand why this is upsetting you. I repeat, I can understand why this is upsetting you. Don't try and outpace your customer. Don't try and you know uh, use words where the customer is not able to understand what you're saying. That's a wrong idea. You don't want to outsmart your customer. That's not what the customer is looking out for, right? So slow down. Okay, use the words that they are using in their particular language, because when you use the same words that they are using, the common understanding is that the customer starts to believe that you are connecting with them. When you go to a particular country, okay, if you let's say you go to France and you start speaking in French language and you use the same words that the locals use, the locals actually start believing that you are a part of them. In a similar way, the customers, when you start using the words that they are using, will start connecting with you and will start building a relationship. Now, this is something that I have repeated earlier as well. And I'm going to repeat this because it's a part of most of my trainings. Use this phrase, ask what else? What else? I repeat, what else? Keep asking your customer what else. I'm going to give you certain examples where you can use it in the recruitment industry. Is there anything else that you would like to tell me about your company, which needs to be communicated to the candidate, that will help me to convince a good candidate. Sometimes we are not going to be able to find all the information on the internet about the particular company. Okay. And we do not know how to convince a good candidate. Why is it that we are not asking the customer? Why is it that we're not asking what else would you like to communicate to me about your company? This will help me to come to convince a good candidate. Is there anything else that I need to keep in mind, okay, while searching for the right candidate? We are never asking this question. In fact, we should. It's some of my partners, some of my recruiters ask this question and they've done wonders. But ask this question: what else do I need to know? What else would you like me to know, so that I can find the right candidate? And believe you me, they will have something to tell you. I repeat, the question is, ask what else. Is there anything else that you want me to communicate to the candidate before he or she comes in for an interview? A lot of times this helps. So the customer may say, yes, I'd like you to tell the candidate to go through our website before they come. Now that's communicated, right? I'd like you to tell the candidate that he or she needs to be there 10 minutes before time, because the person who's taking the interview is extremely punctual. Third, I like to tell the candidate that there could be a possibility of delay in the interview. So please make sure the candidate is coming with enough time. Now, if all of this is communicated by the client to you, because you've asked the question, what else, you will communicate the same to the candidate. And therefore, the expectations of the candidate is aligned, the expectations of the client is aligned, and the expectations from your end are aligned. Is there anything else that I need to inform the candidate, or you would like the candidate to know before he or she accepts or rejects the offer? How many times do we see candidates rejecting an offer, and then for us, having to go back to the company and trying to get information which can convince a candidate? Why not, while the offer is being rolled out, why not get that particular aspect from the client, so that when you roll out the offer, you're informing the candidate that, while you're thinking about this particular offer, I will also want to share all these things with you. Trust me, a customer will give you a lot of information. So a customer can tell you about new clients that they won. A customer can tell you about how they're going to be shifting to a new office. A customer can tell you about the new talent that is joining the organization. A customer could tell you about the new private equity funding coming in. All this information will help a candidate to make a more informed decision. And it is better you give a candidate all this information right in the beginning, while they are at the early stages of making a decision, rather than going back and convincing them later. Remember, information or positive information that is given to a candidate earlier always works wonder in terms of getting the candidate convinced. Why this information came to you? Because you asked the question, what else? Is there anything else that I need to know about the feedback and the interview process? Okay. This would be great to communicate to the candidate and to us. Now, recently I had a brilliant conversation with a client, and the client told me, while I'm giving you the position, I need you to know that we take minimum 72 hours, 72 to 84 hours, which means 3 to 4 days, to give you feedback on the resumes. Our first interview is conducted only 7 days after the feedback is given, because we already have an interview schedule. We take 2 rounds of interviews. Our third round is the negotiation round. Okay. And after that, we take 1 week to come back with an offer. Brilliant. Imagine, the communication is so clear. Now we know what to expect from the client. We know it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks for the position to get over, and the same communication is given to the candidate as well. Now imagine, if you know what is expected with the client, you're not going to get paranoid. You're not going to say, oh my god, the client is giving delayed feedback. Oh my god, the client is not giving a feedback. Why? Because you already know what the client is going to do. Now, why did you get this information? Because you asked the question, what else? Or did you ask the question, what else do I need to know about the feedback and the interview process that you follow? Right? And therefore, the expectation setting does come in right in the beginning. Another thing that you should always use is use partnering language, right? One of the things that I want you to understand, believe, and accept is that you are a partner to your customer and your customer is a partner to you. They are not your enemy. They are not here to cause problems to you. They are not here to waste your time. So please get out of this misconception that they are here to waste your time. They need you as much as you need them, and treat them like a partner. Okay. Use when they're angry, okay, or when things are not going wrong. All right, sorry. Use the language which can ensure that a partnership is forged between the two of you. Okay, building building the relationship in a positive way is more your responsibility than it is of the customer. So you need to make the trajectory go that way, not the customer. I'm going to reiterate this particular point. There is nothing called a bad customer. It is just a challenging customer till the time we put an effort and make it a good customer. Listen to what the customer is saying. Whenever you're listening to what the customer is saying, is they will give you certain cue points which you can reiterate to them in a positive way and change the trajectory of that entire relationship, right? So let's say, when the customer is upset or when things are not going as per, as per plan, okay, what do you need to say? um, let's say there is a disagreement. I'll give an example. Let's say there's a disagreement between the customer and you. Don't say this, I disagree with you or I am not in agreement with you. You can use the words like, I understand that there is a challenge. Can I share my thoughts? I repeat, I understand there is a challenge. Can I share my thoughts? I appreciate that you're putting in efforts. Can I help by giving a suggestion? I repeat, I appreciate that you're putting in efforts. Can I help by giving it a suggestion? I'm able to see your point of view. Can I also share my point of view? I'm able to see your point of view. Can I also share my point of view? What is happening out here? It is not communicating to the client that you are not agreeing with their point of view. It is not communicating to the client that you're in any ways negative. What you're communicating to the client is that you are understanding the point of view and you also have an opinion. A good client or any client does not want someone who's just going to nod their head. We don't need yes men. What we want is we want someone to patiently listen to what the customer is saying and then share your expertise. And believe you me, when you use these phrases like, can I share my point of view? A customer will listen to you because they know that you come with a market expertise. Now, sometimes, people tell me that a customer comes being very angry. How do I say, things that will make sure the customer is relaxed? So some of the things that I say is, I put myself in the customer's shoes and say, it sounds that you've had a very frustrating day, right? It's possibility, right? They could be frustrated with a lot of things, and you can empathize with them and you can say, it sounds that you've had a very frustrating day, and then go ahead by saying whatever you need to say in a positive way. Sometimes the customer is bombarding out you on you and you don't have all the information. Instead of reacting back, say things like, can I look at the same and get back to you in some time? Sometimes you may not have enough information, so why just say something as a normal reaction? Just say, can I look at it and get back to you? Or if you know that you have a solution to what they're saying, say, I think I may have a solution. Can I share it with you? I repeat, I think I may have a solution. Can I share it with you? Use the positive language. Use use the whole language of telling them that you are understanding what they're saying, you're empathizing with what they're saying, and you have a solution to the problem. Now, let us say there's a point where the customer has lost confidence in you, and that happens a lot of times, right? We reached a particular point where we believe that the customer is no longer trusting us. What do we do to make sure that the customer once again believes that we are actually in the same boat as they are? So I use these two things, right? And I'm going to give you verbatim what I use. I say, we want to provide you with a solution. And believe you me, we are we want to close the position as much as you do. I repeat, we want to provide you with a solution, and believe you me, we want to close the position as much as you do. If it's not fitting into the conversation, I say things like, trust me, my team is equally eager to close the position. Trust me, my team is equally eager to close the position. What I'm communicating to the client here is that I don't want him or her to lose confidence in my company. I want the customer to know that I am also looking at closing this position and to provide a solution to the problem. I am just making sure that they have confidence in me and they know that I'm not going to give up on the same. Customers will always be unreasonable and they will always be demanding. Let's not change, that's never going to change. Okay, but you need to see them as partners. You need to ensure that you're not seeing them as someone who's not looking to support you. All that you need to do is, at times when things get a little difficult, you need to use the light language to get through them. Now sometimes you are suggesting something to the customer and the customer is not willing to accept it. I use this particular concept of feel, felt, and found technique. I repeat, it's called feel, felt, and found technique. So, and I'm going to put it in form of an example. Let's say a customer has given you a particular requirement. Now you know that finding a good candidate which helps your customer to grow in that particular budget is not going to be possible, or it's going to be very difficult. So, what would you do? Okay. The first thing is, you can tell them that, first understand, tell them that you understand their problem. So, you tell them that I understand that you have a budget constraint and I know that this is going to be a challenge, right? But can I recommend a couple of candidates to you? Meet them with no strings attached. I'm allowing him to have a feel of the suggestion that I'm giving to him or her, saying that I understand that you have a budget constraint, but can I recommend a couple of candidates who are beyond your budget? Okay. And then take a decision. This is coming with no strings attached. Okay. Then the concept of felt, which means you tell them an example of another customer which has done this. So you tell them that there was another customer of mine also who had the same problem, right? This will communicate that to them that this is not unique to only them. So you can say there was another customer of mine which had the same budget problem, and I still presented them the same solution with two candidates of a slightly higher budget. And last thing is the found technique, okay, which means you give them what has happened right at the other customer. So you tell them that after my customer took those interviews, they found one candidate who was a little higher to their budget. They recruited this person and they told me that the candidate was very, very good, was better than the peers, and was actually helping their company grow. So what you're telling them is that I'm willing to give you a solution without any strings attached. Someone else also had the same problem. I suggested them the same solution and it could bring results for the other customer. It's called the feel, felt, and found technique. Um, Now, I've repeated this earlier, right? A lot of times customers are upset and you need to empathize with them. Uh, Really, honestly, sometimes there is no real right answer in terms of how to empathize with them. So I'm going to give you a example of situation where um, a candidate that you have scheduled has not landed up for the interview and the client is bombarding on you, right? How many times this has happened where you've done everything and the candidate has not reached and the client is giving you left, right, and center? So first and foremost, you need to tell them that I understand why you're upset. I know he's wasted your time And if I were in your shoes, I would feel the same. It is important for them to know that you understand the problem. I'm not saying that you accept a mistake, I'm saying you understand their problem. Don't use things like this happens in the recruitment industry. No, that's not what the customer wants to hear. The customer wants to hear that you understand what kind of problem it has created for them. Tell them, okay, what you had done until now. Tell them that, in order to ensure that the candidate reached you, I had given a telephonic information to the candidate. I sent him a WhatsApp. I sent him an email. He has responded to the email saying that he's going to reach. I even spoke to him today morning. I spoke to him 1 hour ago. Okay. And I spoke to him 15 minutes ago also, and he told me he's on his way. I do not know what's happened, and I do not know why the candidate has not landed up. Right? Be honest. If you are not able to communicate with the candidate at any point of time, it is important you communicate to the client saying that, you know what, I've been trying to get in touch with this particular candidate today morning, but he's not lifting my call. I'm sure you will have a busy schedule. If you feel right, you can reschedule yourself according to that, because I don't want anybody else to waste your time. Okay. And then lastly, come up with a solution, right? So you may suggest a few things. Now I can give you an example. There was a customer which was having a lot of problems in terms of candidates attending the interview. So I said, would it be okay if the candidates who we schedule, you also have a couple of minutes of conversation with them, so that the candidate knows that you're equally serious about recruiting for this position, and they would land up for the interview. Candidate was willing to accept that particular call, and client was willing to do that call. And trust me, after that we started having 100% interview ratio, because both the candidate and the client got a reasonable amount of confidence that the candidate coming in was good, and the candidate had a confidence saying that the client was serious about the position. He or she had already done the initial bit of evaluation and has called a candidate because he or she has been liked. And also, yes, after that, please make sure you tell them that whatever solution I'm giving you, even if it does not work, don't worry about it. We can always try something else. Now, this way, you are making sure that the client has clearly understood that you are not just doing a normal routine job, but are understanding their problem and are able to find a solution and empathize with them. I have seen many recruiters sometimes mock a customer. I can tell you that's not a great practice. Never ever mock a customer. Every customer is different, right? Every customer has different experiences or different expectations. There's no point of mocking that customer. Remember, I have a thumb rule. Never say anything to a customer which you would not say to your grandmom. I repeat, never say anything to a customer which you would never say to your grandmom. Empathize with them. Speak with your customers with empathy, because they are the ones who's giving you business. Things that customers do not want to hear. There are four things that, if I were a customer, I would not want to hear. I don't want to hear no as an answer. I don't want to hear there is nothing we can do. I don't want to hear we have done all that what we could do. And I don't want to hear we have tried our best. These words are things that naturally push the customer away from you. What is it that the customers want to hear? Use phrases like, we would like to do more for you, but we need your guidance. Okay. In fact, let me rephrase this. We would like to do more for you, and we would need your guidance. We would like to try one more time and need your support and suggestion. Um, I don't want to use the word but. Somehow, when someone uses the word but, it gives me a negative impression. It tells me that this person is only going to do a job for me if I'm going to do something for him or her. Remember, this is not something which has a clause attached to it. Okay, let it be that you're saying with very genuineness that I will do more and I need your suggestion or I need your help with this. Something else that I want to talk to you about is apologizing to a customer. So many times we find it so difficult to say sorry to a customer because when we say, I'm sorry or I apologize, it makes us believe that we are taking the blame for something. Trust me, saying I'm sorry or apologizing to a customer is in no ways making you someone who is to be blamed for this. You can easily apologize or say sorry to the customer without taking the blame and to ensure that you are clearly communicating to the customer that you value customer relationship, right? uh, Sometimes, even if it is not your fault, it's a good idea to say I'm sorry, but don't say I'm sorry for the issue that has happened. Say I apologize for the way he or she is feeling. So for example, I'm sorry that the candidate did not come. No, change the way it is. I'm sorry that you're feeling upset about the candidate not coming. What you're addressing to is not the issue, but the impact that that issue had on the customer, which means you're not taking the blame of the candidate not going out there. You had done everything that was necessary for the candidate to go out there. So, what you're taking is you're saying sorry because you are addressing the feeling that the customer had because that issue cropped up. I apologize that your time got wasted. Instead of I apologize that I wasted your time. Such a way, such a perfect way of saying it. I apologize for your time getting wasted instead of I apologize that I wasted your time. You're not taking the blame on yourself. Our apologies that the profile did not meet your expectations. I repeat, our apologies that the profiles did not meet your expectations versus I'm sorry that you had to reject all the resumes, right? You are addressing to how the client is feeling about the situation and not the issue itself. Always be someone, and I repeat this, I've said this multiple times in this conversation again, provide them a solution. Tell them what you're going to be doing next. If you said that the candidate did not reach, and you're apologizing for the fact that it's upsetting them, tell them, can I reschedule this particular candidate? Or can I find other candidates which may be suitable for you? Or can I find better quality of resumes? Always follow it up with a solution. Many times, and this has happened so often but not, that our customer is really, really upset with the guarantee period, the 90 days guarantee period. A candidate decides to leave between the 91st day to the 100th day, okay? And the customer is calling us and saying, uh, I'm sorry, but you will need to provide me a replacement. Now, what is it that we are going to say? And this is what all of us say. I'm sorry, the guarantee period is over and I can't do anything much about it. Finished. The customer is going to blast. Your relationship with the customer is going to finish. And whatever profits or whatever revenue you are going to get from the customer henceforth is not going to come to you. Right? I'm taking a presumption that this customer that has called you is someone with whom you want to continue doing business. And what is it that you need to tell them? So, the first thing is um, be conscious about the fact that you understand what's happening at the customer and say that, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And I'm sure this must be impacting your business. Next thing you want to tell them is that if you could give me some time, let me discuss it with my team and let me get back to you with a possible solution. I repeat, give me some time, let me discuss it with my team and let me come back to you with a possible solution. Trust me, I understand your business and I understand this impact, and I assure you that I will come up with a win win solution. Remember, guys, as a solution provider, we are not really here to just finish the guarantee period of the candidate. What we want is that the candidate stays in that organization, stays for a longer period of time, that our customers' business grows. That when our customers' business grows, they come back to us with more requirements. It's not just about the 90 days guarantee period. Therefore, if it needs for us to come up with a better solution, to come up with a win-win solution, we should do that even if it means us losing certain amount of money. I want to share this particular example of a client which was giving us several positions, right? And they had hired one candidate in Bangalore. This candidate was hired at a senior level and they had paid us a service fee of close to 80,000 rupees. The candidate had left at 120 days, which means 1 month over and above guarantee period. The customer called and he was reasonably upset because the candidate was at a senior level and he or she had absconded without serving the notice period. The client was very adamant, saying that you need to provide me a replacement free of cost. Obviously, it was a little difficult for us because 120 days had crossed. What we did, we spoke to the client and we told the client that we don't want you to go through a loss situation. We understand the position that you are in. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to give you a credit note of this 80,000 rupees, which in writing I'm giving you will be adjusted over the next three closures that are going to come from your end. What did I do out here? First and foremost, I ensured that the client understood that I'm not going to take his money and run away. Second thing, I ensured that I'm going to get the next three positions coming to me. And third thing, after that point of time, I ensured that all of the positions that were coming were only exclusive to us. Even today, it has been close to a year and a half since the time that episode happened. And we have not only recruited candidates for the main core business, but are also recruiting candidates for the new business that is coming. And trust me, against that 80,000 rupees of adjustment that we made, post that particular episode, we must have done a minimum billing of close to 18 to 20 lakhs. Now, had I said no at that point of time, these 18 to 20 lakhs would have all been flushed down the drain. So sometimes, it's good idea to think positively or to come out with a solution to the client. A lot of times, billing goes wrong, right? Now, we send a particular invoice to the client and that invoice has gone wrong for whatever reason. Okay, something has gone wrong and the client is upset. And we get a little agitated saying that what's the big deal? There's only a mistake in the invoicing. But trust me, the invoicing is a very touchy topic. When the client gets an invoice which is higher than what they expected to pay for the service, okay, then they tend to get a little upset thinking that we are trying to cheat them. At this point of time, it is very important that you communicate to them rightly. Tell them, I'm thankful that you brought this to my notice. Right? Again, I repeat, tell them, I'm thankful that you brought this to my notice. What is it that could be the change that you require? And why are you suggesting this? And I can give you an example. We had a customer where a candidate was selected and we created the invoice at a package of 5.25 lakhs. Okay. Now we all know 8.33% of 5.25 lakhs is X. What we did not do is we did not realize the fact that in that 5.25, there was a 45,000 rupees of performance related bonus, which means that the invoice should have been created at 4.8 lakhs and not at 5.25. The customer was upset and we said, don't worry. Thank you for bringing it to my notice. We have no intention of charging you extra money. If you could explain to us what is your point of view, we will get the bill rectified and send it to you right away. And that's exactly what we did. Good part was the customer cleared the payment the same day, in spite of that the customer could release the payment 30 days later. So there are certain advantages also of how you handle the situation. Now, I've also heard this particular situation where the customer is comparing us to the competitor, and they're saying things like, "I'm getting lots of resumes from from other recruitment companies," and we are scratching our head and thinking, if I am not able to find resumes, what is it that's going wrong that the competitor is finding the resumes? Don't worry, tell the customer, saying that would it be possible for you to send me a sample resume of what the competitor has given to you, which you have liked. And trust me, when that sample resume comes, you will realize that the customer is even willing to take a candidate who's 18 out of 20. And we are trying to get perfection. And therefore, okay, the customer is okay to compromise, or maybe we've completely misunderstood the job description. And when we look at the shortlisted resume of a competitor, we've got it right. We are not taking away the credit of the competitor. We are saying that could you give us that particular CV which has been shortlisted so that we could find similar profiles? And trust me, a customer is willing to help on that front. Uh, Sometimes the and we have this real issue which is currently also going on, where the customer is saying the competitor is sending me 10 resumes a day. Okay, and as per our process, we don't send that many resumes in a particular day. Tell the customer, what do you want? Do you want four quality resumes, or do you just want me to send you 10 resumes which are perhaps mediocre, or I've not done a good filtering job? The reason why you're paying me is because I'm saving your time. So, would it be better that I send you four quality resumes which are 100% matching with your profile versus just sending you quantity resumes? And trust me, your customer will understand that you're not just trying to dump CVs, and you believe that that you can do things better than the competitor. Another customer, I have 10 interviews being lined up by your competitor. Okay, how many of them are landing up for the interview? How many of them are actually being selected? We have this particular client of ours, which is a finance company. They're in NBFC, and a particular competitor of ours was sending interview list of 10 12 companies, candidates in a particular day, and we were just scheduling four interviews. The HR was getting upset at us, and we said okay, and she said the director would like to speak to you. So we spoke to the director and said, sir, if you don't mind me asking you, can you check as to out of those 10 interviews, how many interviews are happening? So he said, out of 10, around four interviews are happening. So we said, okay, can you tell me out of the four interviews I have scheduled, how many interviews have happened? He said, all four interviews have happened. Great. Can you tell me out of the four interviews that happened from the competitor's end, how many people did you like? And he said, I liked one person. I said, okay. And out of the four interviews that happened from my end, how many did you like and would like to meet for a second round of interview? And he said, three. And I said that in this case, sir, who do you think is doing a better job? After that point of time, the particular customer is directly only speaking to my franchisee head. And when I say the customer, I'm talking about the director of the company is only speaking directly to the to my franchisee head, and they're doing a superb job in terms of closing positions. So what I'm trying to say is when a customer is getting agitated or upset with you by making comparing you to a competitor, don't become defensive. Try and show the customer the positive things that you're bringing to this relationship, and believe you me, the customer's orientation towards you will change. Friends, I want to end this particular video by telling you that a relationship with the customer will go through a seesaw ride. Sometimes the customer will be happy with you, sometimes they will be upset with you, sometimes you will not be able to make them understand what you're trying to communicate, and sometimes they will not understand what you're trying to communicate. All you need to do is you need to use positive conversations. You need to say things in the right way, in a positive way, in a way that they believe that you are willing to help them, that you are willing to support them, that you empathize with their problems, and that you are actually looking to build a long-term relationship. And when you're trying to communicate that, when you use the positive phrases, trust me, the relationship with the customer will last a very long point of time. Thank you so much.